Hey everyone, it's me again and welcome to Faith's Faces. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my little corner of the internet. Whoa, showing some shoulder there. My name is Faith Grenade and I put makeup videos here on YouTube, and you should subscribe and hit that little bell icon down below. It'll notify you every time I upload so you don't miss a minute of this riveting action. And things are actually a little bit riveting today. A little bit. Do you see this Law & Order SVU moment going on in the background? She's inside the house! You have stumbled across is Faith's Faces, which is usually a tutorial or a get ready with me like we got going on today. See what I did there? It has been a hot minute since I actually got ready in front of a camera and just talked to you guys rather than doing a tutorial format, so this is a get ready with me. I'm gonna catch you guys up on some things that have happened in my life, all exciting things, don't worry. This isn't gonna be one of those get ready with me's that I only ever seem to do when shit hits the fan and something awful happens. For once, everything is good news, but it will shed some light on why I've been so busy the last few months and what has been going on in my life. We will be creating this sickening alien creature look with the Jeffree Star Alien palette. If you want to see how I got this look and get caught up on some shit that's been happening in my life, just keep watching, baby. So I've been dealing with a lot of life stuff recently. All good things for once, which is an interesting change. Because a lot of you guys who've been following me for the last couple of years know that I've had quite a time of it the last couple of years. I lost a lot of really good friends of mine and family members, pets. You know, I dealt with a lot of death for the last couple of years, and it's just now finally starting to mellow out in that a lot of the things that are happening and changing in my life are all good things and changes that I have been pulling for and trying to manifest for a long time. And it finally seems like they're happening for me, which is great, but at the same time, you know, as these things often do, this stuff is manifesting whether I was ready for it or not. So I'm sort of feeling woefully unprepared at this point for all the things that are happening to me. And I'm just trying to stay caught up and not get kind of behind on all things. I got a job. A lot of you guys already knew that. I work at Ulta now, which is pretty exciting. I wasn't, like, the job sort of fell in my lap, to be honest. Like, I wasn't actively looking for a job. Initially, I walked into Ulta just wanting to get some things. Basically, I had interviewed at Ulta a long time ago, like a year ago when I first got my license. Caffeine time. They wanted me to work in the Benefit Brow Bar, waxing eyebrows 2 days a week. And the GM at the time said it would probably be about a year before I'd be eligible to be transferred anywhere. So that really wasn't what I was looking for at the time, so I turned the job down because I wanted to do more than that. I was really looking for something a lot more, well, a lot closer to full-time, we'll just say, because 2 days a week does not pay the bills, and at the time my husband had just gotten out of the Air Force and we were paycheckless, so I needed more than what they were willing to give me. It's okay to turn down a job offer. Like, a lot of the people in my generation are so caught up in the, like, but it's a job kind of thing. But if somebody's taking advantage of you and, you know, not paying you enough to live or giving you circumstances that you really can't gel with, you do not have to accept that job just because it's a job. There are other jobs out there who will value you and who will respect you. Fast forward 1 year, I'm in the Ulta just shopping around, and I had just recently had my last job fall through. I had my own skincare practice in a spa for a little bit, and that spa wanted to switch me from a commission model of pay to a room rental. And they were asking for $1,200 a month to rent a room in the back of a building, which is completely unreasonable in terms of rental costs. I mean, that's literally almost more than my sister pays for her mortgage, so it's like, if you can rent a house for less than that, yeah, no, not happening. Not to mention I found out that the place in question, whose name will be withheld to protect the innocent, not only was not licensed as a salon, but it was not licensed as a business. So strictly speaking, their doors shouldn't have even been open. I went into Ulta to do some retail therapy and buy some false lashes and some, you know, other random shit that I was out of. And the salon manager who had interviewed me before that previous year ran up to me and she said, you, stop, we need you. So it turns out, at the time that I had interviewed with them the first time, they had already had 4 estheticians in the derm pod. There were like 4 part-time estheticians. And at the time, the skincare side of things was really dying, and there was no vitality in it. And this salon manager could tell that I would be a valuable person for that position, but it wasn't her call to make. Ultimately, the GM was the one who said that. They needed me in the brow bar more. But the GM had moved on. They had a new general manager, and they had a full-time esthetician for a long time, who really rocked it and sort of salvaged their skincare side. But that esthetician was going back to school and was about to be cut down to part-time hours. And she was like, we're about to lose our full-time esthetician. She's going back to school. She's going to be down to, you know, 1, sometimes 2 days a week. It's going to be a big loss for us if we don't recoup it very quickly. And she was like, yes, you know, apply and we'll call you in for an interview. Just like call me as soon as you get the application submitted and we'll call you in for an interview right away. So I gave it a couple of weeks because I really wasn't sure if Ulta was what I wanted to do. You know, I was kind of in the brainwashed mindset that a lot of estheticians are in, where, because there's this culture in aesthetics, especially lately, where like you're not successful unless you go out on your own. You're not successful unless you own your own business or you have your own practice or you room rent. And it's a really toxic mindset because, I mean, it's not true. For one, you can be completely successful and have a fulfilling and happy career working for a corporate entity. You don't have to room rent. You don't have to own your own business. And I think, you know, to put that pressure on people who are just coming out of school, I mean, these folks are just starting into this career field, and to tell them that you have to make that sort of financial commitment in order to be measured as a successful person is just unreasonable. I was still sort of stuck in that mindset, and I had Googled job reviews of positions at Ulta because there are websites now. The one I used is called Glassdoor, and Glassdoor will allow employees of these businesses to leave anonymous reviews of their employers. Whether the reviews are good or not is sort of immaterial. What's important to me is that it paints a complete picture, because these managers, especially in these retail chains, these managers will paint a very pretty picture for you of what your work experience is going to be like. And sometimes that picture is completely different when push comes to shove and you actually take the position. And mind you, it's not necessarily what has happened with Ulta, and I'll explain that in a minute, but it was something that had happened to me with past retail jobs I'd had, where I was, you know, given this beautiful kind of rose-colored glasses view of what was going to happen. And it's like, we're a team, everything's happy, hunky-dory. And the next thing you know, as soon as I'm hired on to that position, the bullshit starts happening. And then, you know, next thing you know, I'm being fired for no reason. I really didn't want to go through that again. I'm too old now to be going through that kind of stuff. And I was so sick of searching. You know, I was so sick of searching for the right fit and searching for what was going to work, and I was sick of looking for a job. I was sick of being like a professional job seeker, because in the last year I've switched jobs 3 times. So it was just like, I'm done. You know, I got into aesthetics to have a career, not to have a job. So whatever I get, I want it to stick, and I want it to work, and I want it to be what I end up with for a while. I was nervous going into it. I didn't think that, I wasn't sure how this was going to be. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, or how things were going to go. But I went ahead and applied, because I was like, it's probably going to be a couple months before they get back to me anyway, because that's how retail tends to be. So I was like, I'll go ahead and apply and just hang tight and go to the interview. Worst case scenario, I don't have to take the job if it's still not something that I gel with. You know, I can always interview and say thanks but no thanks and move on to the next thing. It's no skin off my nose. So I had nothing to lose, really, and I went ahead and submitted the application, thinking, mind you, that it would take a while. Literally a week later. Because normally these turnaround times for these jobs are really, really long. I was practically hired before my butt even hit the chair. She was just like, okay, so when can you start? And I was like, whoa, hold on. I mean, we haven't even talked about compensation. We haven't even talked about anything, really. Like, I have questions that I need answered before I will agree to take this job. Because if there's one thing I've learned in the past year of looking for jobs and interviewing for jobs, it's that an interview is a two-way conversation. So you're really, you know, a lot of people forget that. A lot of people think that they have to just sit there and be asked questions and respond to them. They don't realize that they have a voice in that process as well. They can ask questions, and they should, to ensure that a very clear picture is being painted of what their work environment is going to look like. Here's my availability. Like, I brought in a 3-month calendar of my availability all the way through the beginning of summer. And I was like, here's my availability. If this doesn't work for you, this isn't going to work out. Because I was freelancing. I had previously contracted jobs. She was like, that's fine. We can totally work around your schedule. This is going to be part-time because the other esthetician will still be working, so you'll have days off and all of that. And she told me the pay. Because one of the chief complaints that I heard on Glassdoor was that the pay for the esthetician positions was way too low. So I needed to know that I was going to be compensated fairly. And basically what I do when I go into a job interview is I decide how much I want to be paid. And then I listen to what they have to say. And if that number that they say is close enough to the number that I set for myself, then we're in business. But if not, some negotiating is going to have to happen. So she said, you know, she said the original number, and I'm not going to bother going into it because, quite honestly, exactly what I make doesn't really matter. But she said the number. She was like, oh, you're going to get paid such and such an hour, and commission is scaled, so once you, so you make such and such an hour or this percentage of commission, whichever's higher that week, and you, we evaluate that on a weekly basis. So even if you have an off week and you don't have any clients at all, you're still getting paid, which is what I wanted to hear, really. An important factor in choosing a job as an esthetician as well. You have to decide, you have to research the line of products that your prospective employer is using, and you have to determine if that's something that you can stand behind, because you're going to be putting your name behind those products. And if it's something, you know, if it's a brand with a philosophy that you don't really agree with, then, you know, you're not going to be able to sell the product. But yeah, they had a sensitive skin line, which I always appreciate as someone who is sensitive, as someone who caters to sensitive skin clients, who has an academic interest in sensitive and sensitized skin. I always want to see a dedicated product line to people with sensitivity, because those people have unique needs, and oftentimes in professional lines their needs are not addressed. You know, a lot of professional lines can be very harsh and very active, and not all skin types can handle that level of activity. I'm gonna put my foundation on real quick off camera. I'll be right back. Basically, long story short, that whole hiring process went way faster than I expected it to. I was expecting it to take a few months, but it took, like, I think from when we first encountered one another to my first day of work was probably like 2 weeks. And the only reason it took that long is because I had prior commitments. Things have been good, actually, though. I really, really enjoy my job. I like that I'm never doing the same thing. You know, I'm always doing something different. One day I'm doing makeup applications all day. The next day I'm doing, you know, facials all day, or I'm doing various types of facials. There are quite a few products that Dermalogica has in their line, so it makes it a very fun job. You know what I mean? It makes it very active, and I'm learning a lot about the line, and the more I learn about Dermalogica's line, the more I like it. Because they've got so many different products in their line, and at first that sort of intimidated me, because it was like, whoa, I mean, I'm used to keeping things simple, but having that many products at your disposal comes in really handy when you get those unique case scenarios. You know, when you get the people who are in their 60s but have acne, or you get the person who's allergic to glycolic acid, or you get, you know, like, no matter what you're dealing with, there's something for everyone. It's been sort of a challenge to balance everything, you know, to keep that work-life balance, because I am full-time, so I've been working a lot, and that can be kind of a strain when you first start doing it, especially if you haven't had a full-time job in a long time. Not through any fault of my own, mostly due to my circumstances of living in Japan and everything else, but I hadn't had a full-time 40-hour-a-week job for about like 5 or 6 years. So it was a pretty big adjustment for me going in. I really had to stop and take care of myself, because my body did not respond the way it normally does. I think a lot of the time we forget that as we get older, our bodies start to slow down. And I have a family history of arthritis and blood pressure problems and all that stuff, so I really had to be more mindful of that and take my breaks very seriously, and actually sit down and rest and stretch and do all of these things that I used to not have to do. Because the first couple of days, man, my job was kicking my ass. Like, I would come home every night and pass out on the couch from exhaustion, and I don't normally take naps, so, you know, when I pass out, it's bad. I also just found out yesterday that I was selected as a finalist for the Skin Games. So a lot of you knew this. I explained it in one of my other videos, but I entered into a makeup competition. And this isn't just any makeup competition, you know, this isn't like the NYX Face Awards or something. This is a competition specifically for licensed professionals, licensed estheticians, and things like that, to showcase their skills and to compete with one another. I made an entry online. I had to film a video of a makeup application on a model, and I recently got word that I have been selected as a finalist and that I will be going to Las Vegas to compete in the finals live, which is so scary. I mean, it's really exciting, but it's scary at the same time because, I mean, when I was filming the video, I was working on a friend of mine who, you know, it was Taryn, we went to school together, and I know her face. I know her bone structure. I know her face shape like the back of my hand because I had worked on her many times. I'd used her as a model when we were in school a few times, so I knew the canvas that I was working on, but due to monetary restrictions on my end and time restrictions on hers, I will not be able to bring her with me to Las Vegas for the finals. I will have to use a model that they're going to scout for me and provide for me. So I have no idea who I'm going to be working on. I have no idea who this is going to be or what they're going to look like. I don't know what their dimensions are going to be because they tell you that this is a full package, so you're expected to bring props and costume pieces to complete your look. But it's like, it's going to be really hard for me to bring props and costume pieces when I don't know what this model's size is. Really was not anticipating that, so it was a very pleasant surprise, but it was kind of like, well, crap. You know, now I have to try and orchestrate a trip to Vegas amidst having just started a full-time job, having, you know, all of these adjustments to make on top of that. Now, my job knows about the skin games. They know that I entered the competition recently, and they know that there's a chance that this could happen. So they, you know, they will have seen this coming. This is not going to be sprung on them. It's not going to be anything new. If anything, they're really excited about it because, well, my GM is anyway. My manager's really excited about the prospect of me going to Vegas and winning the skin games because it would mean a big deal for my Ulta store because then they would be able to say that one of their makeup artists is award-winning. So my fellow spa professionals, don't ever let anybody tell you that you're a failure if you work for a corporate entity. Like whether it's Massage Envy or Hand and Stone or Ulta, don't ever let anybody make you feel like a failure for doing that as a job. I mean, you know, you don't have to stay there for the rest of your career, and ideally you wouldn't. You know, the whole point of our career is growth. So ideally you should move on and you should be able to move up and do other more advanced things. But don't let anyone tell you that it's a bad idea to work for a corporate entity, because ultimately, if you have a good manager, if you have a good management team, you're gonna have a great time. Do you guys want to see Pecky? You haven't seen him in a while. He was sleeping. Somebody was sleeping. Were you sleeping? You're so cute. He's still not too much of a fan of being picked up and held, but he's so sleepy. You can tolerate it, huh? You are shedding like a fool. Look at this. Look at all that hair. Who knew you had so much hair? Are you coming to sit on my lap? Oh my goodness, you're so cuddly. This cat never sits on my lap. Like, this is such a rare thing. Hi. Oh my god, guys, I have a cat in my lap. Life's really good now, it seems. And now I have to decide what I want to do for lips with a cat on my lap. I'm gonna cuddle with this cat for a little bit and decide what I want to do for a lip color. And I'll be back in a second. And we're back! And so is Crystal. Hey! You guys should subscribe to her channel. She's pretty cool. And if you're here from her channel, hello! So nice to see you. Sorry I'm not as weird as I was on her channel when I was reacting to K-pop videos, but this is the final look. I'm pretty happy with it, honestly. It kind of played out exactly the way I thought it would in my head, and I look like a weird little alien, and I'm okay with it. The color is the Bite Beauty Amuse Bouche lipstick from the Astrology collection in the shade Capricorn. This is one of my favorites from the Astrology line because it's so dark and deep and wonderful. And it's one of the few lipsticks in the astrology collection that actually kind of matches the sign that it was made for. I hope you guys found this video helpful, informative, or entertaining. If you did, there's a button for that. Spank that like button in the butt, you know it deserves it. And if you want to see more from me, you've got a couple options now. You can click the videos on either side of my head to binge if you're bored or bummed out, or hey, you can hit that button that looks like my face and subscribe and become a member of the faithful today. I put out new videos every Sunday. Thank you guys so much for watching and joining me today, and I will see you in the next video. Toodles!